Mark Rogers, TV Talking NFL Draft. We do so with the best source I can find, Rick Saratella from the NFL Draft Bible. Please join him there for all your draft needs as we get closer to the big weekend. We're talking tight ends today, Rick, and O.J. Howard, certainly a guy that if you follow college football has all the measurables to be a superstar in the NFL. But in that Alabama offense, only got certain opportunities. They were so diverse in their playmaking ability on the outside, and with the conservative pro-style offense, only go to the air so much. So O.J. Howard would disappear for lengths of time for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then we would see him focused on and show up in the big games. But he could really be that guy that can do both, block and be a threat at receiver at the next level.
Love everything about his game. I think you hit the nail on the head. You got to give OJ a lot of credit for coming back to school, realizing he's not going to get a whole bunch of opportunities. A lot of people felt like he was the consensus #1 rated tight end and that he didn't really need to participate in the Senior Bowl, but he did so anyway because this guy is just competitive. And for me personally, he's a top 5 player in this year's draft. And I'm looking down the road even more 2-3 years from now. I think this guy has the potential to be the top tight end in all the entire NFL. I think he has that kind of explosiveness, that kind of athleticism, that kind of dual blocking, pass catching type of ability. And this is a guy I could, be a cornerstone on offense. And whether it's Tennessee at 5, the Jets at 6, there's no way he slides past the Ravens with Ozzie Newsome there. If anybody can identify a top tier tight end, it would be that guy. But, O.J. Howard, to me, the clear-cut tight end, and then you got guys like David Njoku from Miami, Evan Engram from Ole Miss, a guy that could really slide into the first round there. And it's a big year for tight ends. Bucky Hodges, the debate continues. Is he a wideout? Is he a tight end? I can tell you this much. Once you get inside the red zone, he's going to be a mismatch weapon.
Yeah, when you look at Howard, if you're not familiar with him, don't go to the stat sheet. You're not going to find a whole lot. You're going to find 15 to 25 catches his last 3 years at Alabama. But then in the national championship game 2 years ago, they suddenly found him, and he caught passes for like 230 yards and a couple touchdowns, had a big game-changing play against Clemson again in the championship game this year. So when they needed him, he was there. And like you say, very patient, very much a team player to stay loyal to that program and come back. Yeah, the other guys in this era of tight end, you have to distinguish the guys that can stay in line and block versus the guys that are more the threat in the seam and could possibly project as a wide receiver. So Evan Engram has that tag, but I've heard that he's a better blocker than advertised.
Yeah, you're hearing that and you're seeing that too. I think, with this pro day workout, but you come into Indianapolis and you run a 4.42 40-yard dash, I think it was, as a tight end. That's going to have offensive coordinators and teams salivating. So I think he's a guy, too, that could really work that seam route, work that and if you want to throw him out there as a wide receiver, too. And he's going to be a mismatch with the speed. We talked about Bucky Hodges being a mismatch with the size. I think Evan Engram, he's a mismatch problem. I mean, you're going to stick a linebacker on him. You're going to stick a safety on him. I mean, that's a decision that teams are going to have to really game plan around. And, hey, at number 32 there, how much time Gronkowski has in New England with all these injuries. We saw, Martellus Bennett leave during free agency, and whether he's a complementary role to Gronkowski like an Aaron Hernandez was, or maybe they do get rid of Gronk in a year or two. I think Evan Engram at number 32 to the Patriots could be something to keep an eye on there.
Jeremy Sprinkle out of Arkansas is a guy that battled Hunter Henry for playing time with the Hogs. A guy that I didn't hear you mention that certainly was a star in college was Jake Butt at Michigan. What's your thoughts about Jake Butt?
Yeah, Jake Butt, I think, he's a guy who would be in the first-round conversation, if not for that injury. So I think, you take a team like the Dallas Cowboys, maybe round 2, round 3, Jason Witten on the back 9, maybe Jake Butt can just kind of slide in there in a year or two for the Cowboys. You mentioned Jeremy Sprinkle from Arkansas, who I like a lot, and he had the incident, I think, at the Belk Bowl it was, where they were giving out some swag, and he might have taken one too many items. So I think, a team is going to probably get a day 3 value pick with that. And then Jordan Leggett out of Clemson, we talked about the Alabama tight end. Jordan Leggett from Clemson is a guy I think, because it's such a deep and talented tight end class, he could slide to day 3, and you're getting a pretty decent tight end there too.
Yeah, I'm looking down 8 to 10 to 12 tight ends, and I'm seeing playmakers in college that I enjoyed watching that seem to transition to the next level. Rick Saratella from the NFL Draft Bible joining us to break down the tight ends. Rick, we know that you are running around like a crazy man these days, so we appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, always appreciate it, Mark. Good stuff.